If you look honestly at your life, you will see that the most fulfilling moments of your life are when you've just solved the problem for some other human being. I think we're designed to do that. You measure an individual by their most distant ends. Every human being, regardless of culture, age, gender, or sexuality, lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most to least important to them individually, that are unique, which do evolve over time, but at any one moment, there's a set that they live by. Whenever they are pursuing what is most deeply meaningful, most important, what's highest on the value, what's highest in priority to them, they maximize their genius, creativity, innovation, and capacity for problem solving. So the first thing you want to write down is that if you don't fill your day with the very highest priority action that you can do, you're going to decrease the probability of waking up the most innovative state of being. It is only in our highest value, the thing that is most important when we're in pursuit of it, that we are spontaneously inspired to act, spontaneously inspired to solve the problems that we face. It is in that particular value system, and that one alone, that awakens the greatest potential in a human being. I've said many times that if you don't fill your day with the highest priority action that inspires you, your day fills up with progressively lower priority distractions that don't. And when you're distracted by lower priority actions, your brain is somewhat multitaskingly scattered and not able to be focused and disciplined and reliable to solve problems. When we're living according to highest priority, our blood, our glucose, and our oxygen migrates into the forebrain, where we have the greatest executive function for solving problems, the greatest ability to visualize options, mitigate risks, come up with solutions, navigate through the obstacles, and spontaneously take actions, executive actions, without distractions. There's nerve fibers from the medial prefrontal cortex, the forebrain, that actually calm down distractive cloudiness of the mind and calm down the amygdala and the lower subcortical areas, so you can be sharp and clear and focused and present with the challenges you face. And just like filling your day with high priority actions that inspire you, your day doesn't fill up with low priority distractions don't. If you don't fill your day with challenges that inspire you, your day fills up with challenges that don't. And please write that. Make sure you get that. If you don't fill your day with challenges that inspire you, you are designed to attract challenges that don't. When you're pursuing challenges that inspire you and you're in the forebrain, you create resilience, adaptability, and eustress, and you tend to see things as on the way, not in the way. You tend to see things as a way to an objective. Your highest value is your chief aim. It is your primary objective. It is your real mission in life and purpose in life. Your purpose in life revolves around your highest values. Your identity, your authentic ontological identity revolves around your highest values. So by filling your day with the highest priority actions and pursuing challenges that you want to solve, particularly problems that make a difference in other people's lives, so you can be remunerated and rewarded economically for doing that. Imagine waking up your genius and getting paid to do that and innovating something original. As long as we are in lower values, and not our highest values. That is primarily a result of subordinating to outer authorities. The moment we meet somebody that we think is smarter than us, more successful than us, more financially viable than us, more stable in relationship than us, more socially savvy or connected or networked than us, more physically fit than us, more spiritually aware than us, the moment we perceive ourselves the underdog and are too humble to admit what we see in these people inside us, we will automatically diminish ourselves relative to them, and values in life go from those who have most power to least power. So we'll tend to inject those values into our life that they hold. Try to be somebody we're not, be inauthentic. Scatter ourselves with distraction, trying to be second at being them instead of being first at being us. And we become borrowed visionaries instead of an unborrowed visionary. And it's the unborrowed visionary that actually creates an original pathway, original thinking. Original thinking is a byproduct of authenticity and pure reflective awareness. See, as long as we put people on pedestals and inject their values, we're going to want to try to be more like them. When we put people in pits, we want to try to get them to be more like us. And as long as our energy is futilely trying to be somebody we're not, or trying to get others somebody they're not, all that energy is dissipative energy, stopping us from being ourselves. And the magnificence of ourself is the secret to the unborrowed visionary. The unborrowed visionary is an original thinker that has the courage to not conform, but to go on and walk a path of original thinking. The gentleman that you know from founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, talked at Stanford University about it's the misfits. It's the square pegs in the round holes. It's the people that don't fit into the rest of society and don't conform and don't abide by traditions, conventions, and don't subordinate to mothers, fathers, and preachers and teachers, conventions, traditions, and mores around them, but go within them and let the voice and the vision on the inside be louder than all those opinions on the outside. Those are the ones that activate their original thinking, their creativity, because they're the only ones that give themselves permission to shine and not shrink, and to stand out and not fit in, and to be original, not subordinate to the tradition. Ernest Becker, in his Denial of Death, wrote tremendously about the difference between the collective heroism and the individual heroism. And it's the people that made the difference in history, the individual heroes, not the collective heroes. The collective hero is the person who fits into society and becomes respected by society because they fit in, not because they stand out. None of the Nobel Prize winners, none of the Olympic medalists, none of the great leaders, none of the people that have set new standards have been the ones that conformed. They're the ones that had the courage to walk and beat a drum that had been unbeaten and drummed before, you might say. So it starts by living by your highest values, because the second you live by your highest values, you give yourself permission to stand out. And the second you live by lower values, because you're unfulfilled, you get your blood glucose and oxygen going into the hindbrain and the amygdala, where you want to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So you're automatically now going to avoid rejection. And as long as you want to avoid rejection from people's opinions, then tradition of the past stays stagnant. Aristotle spent 20 years with Plato from age 17 to 37. And some of his ideas stood the test of time all the way to the time of Copernicus. Centuries later, very few people had the courage to challenge him because he was a deep thinker. And many people were illiterate. They didn't have the courage to stand out. But Copernicus, studying some of the heliocentricists of Philolaus and Aristarchus and the Pythagoreans, and made observation, looked at some of the things that were coming in on the telescope, he started to realize, no, we have a heliocentric system, and became an original thinker. Got ridiculed, violently opposed, challenged in some respects, had a new way of looking at it. It broke the boundary of thinking. Giordano Bruno was another original thinker. They burned him at the stake. But 400 years later, they honored him as a genius, 400 years ahead of his time. You may not be appreciated while you're original thinking. You may be laughed at and ridiculed. I remember when I was 18 years old, I was driving to the beginning of where I was starting college at the time, trying to go back to school after being a high school dropout. And I was sometimes doing carpooling with this other gentleman who was an engineer, and he had a dream of creating magnetic trains. This is back in 1973. He used to draw magnetic trains. And we used to talk in the front seat as we're going to school, that his dream was to create magnetic trains. He drew them, he drew the tracks. He was an amazing artist too. I told him that I wanted to travel the world and teach. And we were enthused about our dreams at the time. And one day we picked up another guy who he caught a carpool with us. And when we told him some of the things we're working on, he laughed. He said, "You come from a small town, you know, you're not educated, you don't have fantasies, don't have expectations, everything else." He laughed, he ridiculed, he kind of condemned. He didn't understand the meaning that we both had for our dreams. He hadn't found his. And people of mediocrity always pick on people that stand out. And that was 1973. Just a few years ago, I was doing a live presentation. And on one of our social media blogs, that gentleman, who had not ever seen since, got online and made an announcement. "By the way, I'm a friend of Dr. Demartini. I used to carpool with him." And then underneath it, he said, "You friggin' did it. You friggin' did it." He basically was saying that I never thought you would actually pursue it and stay with it. When you're living by your highest values, your space and time horizons grow. You achieve. You're disciplined, reliable, and focused. You see things on the way, not in the way. And you embrace the pains and pleasures in the pursuit of that which is purposeful to you. And you give yourself permission, because in that area, the way your brain is set up, it has a filtering and gating mechanism in the thalamus, the pulvinar nuclei, that makes sure that you filter out of all of your reality every bit of information that helps you fulfill that highest value. So you're going to excel in the highest value. That is where you're going to actually do the most powerful accomplishment. And in the process of doing that, you're going to expand your space and time horizons. If you can expand your space and time horizons by achieving and setting a bigger goal, and achieving and setting a bigger goal, you eventually set a goal that's beyond your own life. You wake up your legacy immortality, you might say, as Heraclitus described in 6th century BC, 5th century BC almost. Giving yourself permission to shine, not shrink. Giving yourself permission to walk an unborrowed visionary's pathway. Giving yourself permission to find a problem, a challenge that really deeply means something to you, that you're inspired to pursue, that you can't wait to get up in the morning and work on, will guarantee not only your legacy, your immortality, but an original idea. And to be crucified means you're on purpose. To be great means you're on. To be great is to be misunderstood. To be ridiculed and violently opposed until your evidence is so evident that people then claim that they've known you and believed in you the whole time because you've turned them around and created a culture. We can follow cultures and we can build a culture. People who live by the lower values are followers. They're like the animals avoiding pain and seeking pleasure, trying to fit into the herd for protection. But it's the executives, it's the angels inside us that have a celestial view, that see beyond the moralities of hypocrisy and give themselves permission to go after something profoundly impactful on the planet because they want to make a difference. I was speaking in a prison in South Africa, Krugersdorp prison, many years ago, probably 14 years now. And I asked 1,000 inmates in maximum security position, 3 stories underground, in orange uniforms, how many of you want to make a difference? In a billionth of a second, every hand went up. No matter what they've been through, no matter what they're going through. So these people are 25 years to life sentences. They still want to make a difference, every one of them. It's innate within us to express our authenticity. We may not know the strategies or the skills to do it, but I can tell you that living by priority is the secret. Living by the highest priority action is one of the keys to mastering your life. But giving yourself permission to go after what's really priority and focusing on what's really the most important thing in your life and sticking to priority. If you ask yourself, what is the highest priority action I can do today that will serve the greatest number of people with the resources you have today in the most effective and efficient manner, and do that on a daily basis and stick to the highest priority actions and discover the highest priorities of the highest priorities of the highest priorities, you will automatically initiate that unborrowed visionary, that one that has the courage. Courage means one from the heart. Because when you're living authentically, you're living in your heart. You're doing what you love. You're inspired by it. You want to solve problems. When you stop and think of a little boy who loves his video games, the second he conquers a video game, he loves it so much, it's highest on his values. He immediately wants to go and tackle a new challenge. He wants another video game that's more advanced. And the second you go and you go after what's really important to you, you're not running from challenge, you're seeking challenges. Leaders pursue challenges that inspire them. And it's the challenge that inspires that wakes up genius. I wrote a little booklet many years ago on awakening genius. And that was one thing I found consistent, that it's the individuals that were waked up their genius, awaken their genius, are the individuals that pursue something so deeply meaningful. Some of the Nobel Prize winners, they worked for 30, 40, 50, and 60 years trying to solve a problem. They had something so deeply meaningful to them that they wanted to solve that made a difference in the planet, a big problem, that they kept pursuing it. And the key is to go and fill your day with priority. That's where you're going to solve the problems the most. That's where you're going to be the innovation. Your entire physiology, your entire psychology, even the sociological feedback and the theological feedback you have in your life are all trying to get you to that authentic state where you maximize your potential and awareness. And maximizing your awareness potential and your sensory and motor function is the key to waking up the solutions to the problems in the world. And there's no end to the problems. The second you solve a problem, there'll be a new problem. And it's the individuals that love solving problems that awaken their genius and wake up their innovation. So the wisest thing I can tell you to do is to take whatever you're experiencing in your sensory awareness and ask, how is it helping you fulfill what's highest on your value? And everything you're doing in your motor actions, what is the highest priority I can be doing? If you prioritize your motor actions and you prioritize your sensory perceptions and get everything on the way to your highest value, your mission, your purpose, your identity, your authentic self, I'm absolutely certain you're going to maximize your creativity, your genius, and your problem-solving capacities. And you're not going to do it just for your own problems, because you're measured, your real impact in the world is based on the problems you solve. If you solve problems in yourself, that's one level. If you do it in your family, that's another. If you do it in the community, that's another. A state, a city, a state, a nation. But if you go after global problems and astronomical problems, you leave a legacy. You leave an astronomical effect. And you giving yourself permission to actually do that is the key to making a massive difference. It's also the key to financial rewards. Every country that I've traveled in, I've asked how many people have ever used Microsoft Windows. Almost every hand in every country by the thousands put their hand up. No wonder there. Look at the Apple phone. You see people in every country using the Apple phone because somebody solved a problem that people needed a solution for, and they became billionaires. Your rewards economic in life are a reflection of the problems you solve. So the question you want to ask is, what is the biggest problem that is so deeply meaningful that you would love to dedicate your life to solving? Find that thing. Now, my highest value is teaching. So any problems in human behavior is the things I love solving. Any solutions for human behavior I work on. Find that thing that is absolutely inspiring to you that you want to solve. Find that direction that is most meaningful. Go on my Demartini website, drdemartini.com. Go and do the value determination process. It's complimentary, it's free, it's private. And go determine what your real highest value is and answer it honestly. Don't write down answers that aren't really true. Don't write anything but what your life demonstrates. Don't write what you think it should be, ought to be, or supposed to be by some outside authority. Look at what your life demonstrates. Find out the target of where it's focused, and then fill your day with the highest priority actions to fulfill that. And then ask yourself, what is the biggest problem you want to solve on the planet? Give yourself permission to be a solution, not the problem, a solution to the world. Because I guarantee you that inside you is the capacity to solve massive problems. But you got to give yourself permission to do it. If you meet somebody that you think has done an extraordinary thing and is massively creative, you can also sit down and write down what exactly is the specific traits, the actions, the inactions that they display or demonstrate that you admire most about their creativity. And then go and dig inside yourself. Since nothing's missing inside you, look inside yourself for what you see in them. You're not missing what they have, but it's in the area of your highest values, just like it was in the area of their highest values. If you try to do it and be creative in their area, you may not be as fulfilled because it's not your highest value necessarily. But unless it is, if it is, then fantastic. But if you find somebody that you think is extraordinarily creative, and then you go find out what are the character traits you see in them and go look inside them and wake those in you, I assure you, nothing's missing you. I've been doing this exercise for years. Nothing's missing in you. You just think it's missing in you. And the thing you think is missing in you is the things you're too proud or too humble to admit you have that you see in other people. The moment you own all that is the moment you get to stand on their shoulders, not in their shadows, and believe in your own ability to speak out. You know, public speaking, there's one of the biggest fears that people have is fear of public speaking. But you really don't have the fear of public speaking. You speak to people in public all day long. But the second you're in front of a group of people that you think are smarter than you or more success than you or have more wealth than you or have more empowerment in any of those 7 areas of life than you, you're going to shrink. You're going to have a fear of speaking up because you're going to worry about their opinion of you and how you are in relative to them. We're not here to compare ourselves to others. We're here to compare our daily actions to our highest values. That's how we maximize our genius. That's how we get gold medals. That's how we solve problems and get the Nobel Prize, because we're not doing a comparison of others. We're taking to other people, owning the traits of them, and then leveling the playing field so there's no need to put them on pedestals or pits. There's simply just a realization that they're a colleague on a journey of solving problems according to their values and our doing ours according to our values. The moment we give ourselves permission to do that, we'll stand out, not fit in. We'll rise and not fall. And we'll end up having unborrowed vision. So I'm absolutely certain that you have the capacity to do something extraordinary and solve massive problems in the world. You just haven't given yourself permission to do it. Right now, think about that. Tonight, meditate on that. Get a little pad of paper out or get your phone or whatever and think, what are the problems in the world that I would love to solve? Find the one that's meaningful. People who are living in their lower values and down in their amygdala want to avoid problems and want an easy life. But I guarantee you, the second you go towards an easy life and try to avoid problems, you attract problems you don't want. And that causes distress and illness and pro-inflammation in your body. But the second you're pursuing challenges that inspire you, you don't have to attract the challenges that don't. And in your highest values, you look forward to challenges to solve. It's in your lower values you try to avoid them. You will never be creative and innovative and original thinking in your amygdala, trying to avoid problems and seek the easy route, because you're just going to go to the easiest path. It's the innovator that's going out there that's willing to walk the path that's unique, blaze a new trail, start a conflagration, you might say, in your city with an enthusiastic pursuit of solving a problem that nobody's been willing to do. Find inside you what's deeply meaningful that is a problem that serve vast numbers of people if you solved it, and structure it and package it. And you possibly could be the next Bill Gates or person from Apple, Steve Jobs or whatever. You could be the next person that has a vast fortune and a vast opportunity to serve vast numbers of people. You got to give yourself permission to do it. There's nothing missing in you. So whatever you see in them, you have inside you. So I just want to take a few moments to talk about creativity and genius. And today I know we had a couple little distractions, but that's part of the game. We just go forward on it. Just know that no matter what happens on your life, see it on the way. It'll keep you focused on priority where you're going to maximize your creativity. Now, that's just one of your powers in life, your creative genius. There's many others. And right now, I just let you know that after this little talk, I want you to know about a masterclass that I'm giving, that I've given out. It's an online masterclass. It's an accessing your greatest powers. And it's a way of happening, not just creative genius, but taking all the 7 powers, building business, building wealth, building relationships, building social influence, building health and well-being, building inspiration. It's accessing your 7 greatest powers. And today you can get by signing up for this little class, you can actually get a free gift called Awakening Your Astronomical Vision. And that's about giving yourself permission to play on an astronomical level. You have the capacity to do a global influence from an astronomical vision, but you probably won't do it unless you know the tools. And I assure you, living by your highest priorities is one of the secrets. So grab the free gift, come to the master class, learn how to empower all 7, accessing your 7 great powers. And let's go and take our genius and let's go solve problems. If you look honestly at your life, you will see that the most fulfilling moments of your life are when you've just solved the problem for some other human being. I think we're designed to do that. You measure an individual by their most distant ends. How big a vision, how big a problem do they solve? That'll tell you the life that they get to live. So I just want to share a few moments on taking your creativity, your innovation, your problem-solving capacities to the next level. And please take advantage of this masterclass on accessing your 7 greatest powers and the free gift, Awakening Your Astronomical Vision. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the next webinar. Each week we give just a little tidbit, a little message on how to maximize your awareness and potential in life so you can go do something extraordinary with your life. I set out to master my life when I was 18 years old. I love sharing ideas that can help you do it. And I love seeing you do that. So let us know on your feedback from the classes. Take advantage of the free class, of the gift, and grab the class. And I'll see you next week.